All right, let's jump right into it. Um, yeah, we're up to lesson 209. So I'm losing faith in being available to people, being quick to respond, being eager to reconnect. It feels like this sort of ugly game of sort of playing hard to get. You're being busy, waiting a while before reconnecting. Um, but it seems to be working. Like when I was constantly getting back to people quickly, reconnecting with people, asking them to hanging out, inviting them to different things that were coming up, like I was just faced with so much rejection. Like the saying nice guys finish last, it's sort of true. And when now that I've been focused on myself and sort of getting back to people when I can, I've been getting the opposite of rejection. I've been getting people are wanting to sort of spend time with me. They're wanting to hang out. They're offering to hang out and it's yeah, quite unique. But I think I went a bit too extreme where, you know, there'll be times where I could it'll take me a week to get back to people. And I think that's definitely too long. So I've reduced my workload so that I can have the extra 45 minutes, 30 minutes each day to reply to messages. Yeah. Lesson 210. I wrote down it was a tough week, mentally down, really craving that best friend slash partner. But God is purposely making it tough for me, not allowing that person to come into my life yet, forcing me to be forcing me to learn how to be strong on my own. But it's so freaking tough and lonely. This is a while ago, so I can't remember how I felt then. But yeah, I must have been pretty down and alone. And the lesson I got from that is like the universe is telling me, yo, Andy, like you need to get stronger. Like I can only give you what you're looking for once you learn to really love yourself and learn to be able to sort of be able to be strong within solitude. Yeah, I'm doing this so I don't have to. This is pretty close to the mic, but let me maybe put the angle on this down. Okay, yeah, this is a pretty good angle. Let's lower it a bit more. That's as low as it goes. Um, yeah, hopefully the audio is really crisp for you guys, but yeah, thought I was gonna sneeze. But yeah, lesson 210 is I wanna and I have been getting strong. Like it's been probably 2 weeks since I wrote that note down, and I feel really good. I feel really good independently and on my own, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Lesson 211, 211. Being purposely made alone, where you are forced into a unique scenario where no one is around to fill that gap. It is it's a very tough challenge that life slash God is putting me through. I've seen no one be put through such isolation. This must mean something. So one, yeah, like as I'm going through this period of isolation, every time I feel that hole in my heart, that gap that I just want to call someone to fill, God slash life has forced me to learn how to fill that hole on my own. Yeah. And that has been very, very powerful. And the fact that, yeah, like it's weird. Like the people around me, everyone has partners, everyone has friends. Like no one sort of really goes, like I don't know anyone in my life that is similarly isolated as I am. I guess like my mentors, they definitely probably went through their share of isolation and aloneness. But the fact that I am on this unique journey from everyone else around me means something, whether it's I'm the main character of this game or it's setting me up for something. I don't understand why, but I have faith and I have a strong gut feeling that in 20 years' time, I'll be able to look back to this and be like, yep, because of those years of isolation, it gave me X skill, which then let me meet X person, something like that. So I do believe that there is meaning behind this. Ooh, 212. So I guess this was the trigger. I was like, fuck it. I'm gonna go into isolation, not picking up anything, not replying to anything, not going to anything, not asking anyone out, only doing so, only doing this, only by doing so can I open up space for my best friend to come in. Wow. Yeah, that's a really good point. This was probably 2 weeks ago when I was just like down, out, exhausted. And I was like, fuck it. Let's go through a period of isolation. Let's isolate myself. Let's stop reaching out. Let's stop everything. And only by like if you're constantly searching, constantly going out, constantly outputting, there's no chance for the right input to come in. But when you turn that off and you're just sort of staying on your own, being independent in solitude, it gives space for the right input to walk by and be like, huh, this energy matches because when I'm constantly outreaching, it's fucking up my energy because I'm spending time with people that aren't on the same wavelength. I'm getting rejected. I'm spending time with people that don't really want to hang out with me, like a lot. And it's fucking up my energy and wavelength. And by doing so, I'm not allowing space for that best friend to come in. So through this sort of period of isolation, am I opening up space for a best friend to come in? Lesson 213. I was at my financial and happiness and content peak when I was isolated and alone. I had no one to reach out to. I wasn't outwardly looking to reach out to people. I wasn't thinking of others. And I wasn't sharing my solo travel adventures, FaceTiming other people as I'm like climbing some mountain. These are all things I've done only recently. And yeah, it's very ironic. Very ironic that the recent chapter I just left of calling people when I think of them, FaceTiming people when I'm at some beautiful place and I want to share my sort of surroundings, um, checking in on people. If a, Seeing if someone wanted to do something and then invite a bunch of other friends and introduce them to other friends, put together these big group chats and group dinners. Like I have not been happy. Like I'm just even thinking about it, I'm exhausted. And ironically, I was at my financial peak. I was the most content when I had none of that, when I had no one and it was just me against the world. When I was just doing things on my own, I was traveling on my own. Very interesting and ironic. All right, so where am I at? Lesson 214. The freedom from accepting being alone is the next level. What do I mean from that? If you truly get to a point where you feel free by being alone, that's sort of the next level. Like, I remember when I used to go on hikes on my own and I just felt so free. Whereas when I would go on hike with friends, I didn't feel like fully free because I'm not fully just on my own and on and myself. So that's what I'm trying to tap back into, realizing the freedom that comes with being alone. Like right now, I'm able to, there's nothing, I'm not waiting on anyone. I'm not being a different version of myself or anyone. There's no one that needs me right now. I'm just all alone and I'm free. Lesson 215. It's very interesting. The moment I accepted being alone and the moment I was like, hey, I'm going to go through a period of isolation, this is sort of what I felt like God and the universe kept pushing me towards. I started getting replies from people. I started seeing people like people that like sort of, yeah, people were watching my stories. People were getting back to me. Um, Friends were checking in. People were replying so quickly. Um, and I had to stay strong. I had to stay committed to my decision of isolation and not get back to everyone as much as I wanted to, and focus on myself, focus on smashing out the day before I can go ahead and reply to these messages if I had extra capacity and mental headspace. Um, there's a quote that says, "The devil comes at you when you're doing something right." So the moment I did something right, which was listen to God and go into isolation, the devil strung a bunch of carrots right in front of me and tempted me to break that decision and pivot I made. Lesson 216. Finding love takes hard work. And I feel like most people take the easy way out. Most people take the easy route. They find like a band-aid, something that can sustain them, something that sort of temporarily fulfills them. Or they put a square into the circle of a hole they have, and they're not patient and they're not putting in the hard work to find that other circle that can perfectly fit into that hole. Like most people just desperately want someone to fill in that loneliness. Most people just can't be alone and just they just want someone. But when you do that, you're not going to be truly fulfilled. You're going to most likely have a bunch of arguments, lead to divorce, always be tempted by what if, or always be tempted by something better. But if you put in the hard work, turn down the things that you don't think is a right fit, restrict yourself, abstain, don't take the easy way out, learn to love yourself, be patient, and keep doing this, you will eventually find love. And the love that you find is worth 100 times more than that painful resilience, challenge, determination that you had to go through to find that love. Lesson 217. So I think well, this is meant for a friend. I was like, dude, I realized that after our convo, I'm still getting out of the phase of trying to make everyone happy. The need, the want to get back to people, the meeting people at where they're comfortable, the moving at other people's pace versus it's my way or the highway. I'm getting better because I'm sort of getting back to people at my pace now, but I'll still most likely accommodate and match people at where they're at. And do, when I do get back to them. For example, let's have a friend that only likes to hang out in group settings. As much as I like one-on-ones and I can push that and get rejected or turned down, if that person just likes to hang out in group settings, have them in group settings. If someone doesn't really like calls, but they just like texting, just text them. So I think it's still good to meet people at where they're at and accommodate for them. And I think the confusion was like, hey, ideally I'd like I like my best friend is gonna be someone that loves the random call, that loves the spontaneous, like let's go on an afternoon walk today, that has the capacity to move things around because they like spending time with me. And they have that independence to move things around. And I'm not going to get that from a lot of my peers. But there's gonna be much less friction if I just meet them at where they're at and go into their zone of confidence when they do reach out to me and when I have the mental capacity to get back to them. So I think those would be the two requirements. One, they have to be reaching out to me, and two, I'll be waiting for when I'm on top of things to get back to them. Like, for example, I have a friend who, obviously it's out of his upbringing, but he's a big fan of university and college and sort of university education and getting a bachelor's degree. And that's because he's gotten one. His parents really, really pushed him to get one. And of course, he's going to have that perspective. And I'm going to meet him at where he's at. Be like, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. Now, obviously, my best friend is not going to have that view and is going to probably have a more freeing view like me, where it's like, you don't need anything. You don't need to be an entrepreneur, but at the same time, you don't need to go to university. Just do what feels right for you. That's my current philosophy. And I feel like my best friend is going to have a very similar philosophy. But until that best friend comes into my life, it's better to match people and accommodate people where they're at because I'm also happy to do so. Lesson 218. My period of solitude has rebalanced and moved the bar for the standard of people that I'd like to spend time with. And by going through this period of solitude, I'm relearning what I like and how I'm seeing that certain people don't have the same level of self awareness, sort of solo independence that I'm looking for. By going through this period of solitude, I'm finding that, man, like I enjoy spending time on my own. And you'd have to be a really cool person that can really make me feel seen for me to prefer hanging out with you versus hanging out with myself on my own. So it's really re-leveled the bar. And now I'm like able to clearly see, okay, who are the people do I really want to spend time with? And ironically, that could only come through a period of solitude and not spending time with people. So yeah, that was a very interesting lesson that going through a period of solitude has added clarity on the level and the quality of people and the standard I have for people. Lesson 219. I don't want to try, force, convince, sway, warm up someone to sort of like me or a girl to like me. Like I'm no longer putting in any more effort. Yeah. I think like when I find someone that is going to be that sort of mother of my children, I have a good feeling, I have a gut feeling it's going to click straight away. I'm not going to have to try. I'm not going to need to strategize. I'm not going to need to warm up, build rapport with. I feel like it will instantly click. I feel like all those things I just mentioned is for people who have time to kill. And unfortunately, I'm pretty busy. Lesson 220. Your standards for your friends is a mirror on your standards for a partner. Yeah. People with low quality friends tend to also end up having a low quality partner. So I think I should start being happy and embracing that. Hey, like as I'm going through this period of solitude, my circle of friends or acquaintances is getting very, very slim. Probably only like three people that come to mind. But it's like three high quality people. And if I keep this up, it's going to be a great reflection for me attracting a high quality partner. Because, yeah, how does one that has low quality friends attract a high quality partner? It just doesn't make sense. So I think this is a very, very good lesson. Lesson 221. It is easier to convince a high value person that you're a high value person. You actually don't really need to convince them at all. You don't even have to try. And as a result, since I don't really enjoy convincing people, I just like to surround myself with other G's, other sort of high value people. Yeah, it's quite ironic. It's weird. You'd think that as a high value person, you'd need to convince another high value person, and you wouldn't need to convince a low value person, but it's the opposite way around. For some reason, as a high value person, you got to prove yourself to that low value person. That low value person's harder to impress than the high value person. So I guess the lesson is the people you impress are the people that are going to be at your level and have a matched wavelength. And the people that you don't impress, they're most likely going to be much lower valued than you. And that's okay. Lesson 222. Hot water gives you energy. Given that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, when you spend, let's say, I don't know, 20 watts of electricity to boil some water. You put in 20 watts of electricity into that water. So when you're drinking it, you're absorbing that 20 watts of energy technically. Because where does that energy go? So when you're drinking warm water, I feel like you're absorbing energy. It's like food. When you eat food, you're absorbing the energy in the food. So when like a cow eats a ton of grass, that energy is then converted into the cow. And then when you eat the cow, you absorb that. So I think the same thing with normal still water versus heated up water. So especially now that it's getting cold in Australia, I'm gonna start drinking a lot of cold water. I meant warm water, hot water. Lesson 223. I used to make it hard for me to win the day. Now I just try to be fair. Like I give myself a bunch of extra bonus work, or if I do smash the day out early, and the bonus work is stuff that I'd love to dig into. Like I want to be more easy on myself and make it so that if I'm pushing at 80%, 75%, I can still smash out the day. Because like recently, actually, like for the longest time, I've made the perfect day require me going at 100%. If I wanted to knock out more things, I'd have to go at like 120% to knock out the bonus extra fun work. So that's definitely not sustainable. So I've decreased the workload instead of say doing 5 points. That's like roughly around 5, 6 hours worth of tasks. I only need to do 4 points worth of task, which is roughly 4 to 5 hours. And that gives me an extra hour so that on days where if I'm going at 75%, I still can clear all my messages, emails, get on top of my SMS, Telegram, WhatsApp, Slack. Whereas previously I'd need to be going at like at least like like 90% to knock out all those messages. And as a result, there'll be 5, 6 days in a row, 7 days in a row where I just couldn't get back to people. Plus, it's not fun. I think life's supposed to be fun, so I shouldn't make it that hard on myself. Lesson 224. The power of pausing and starting. Like, I realized there's no need for me to force myself to film these lessons 1 hour straight, 45 minutes straight. And I've started pausing them when I'm getting tired and starting it when I taken that break, like vacuumed the house, had a bit of lunch. And it's just so much better. You know, it's similar to sort of appointment setting. Rather than going 30 minutes straight, pause in between when I sort of need that break. Yeah. I don't know why. I think it's also just my DNA as well. Like I probably would have been close to getting diagnosed with ADHD. My mum thought I had it, but it wasn't. Um, so I don't think I'm meant for doing one thing for a long period of times without breaks. Like I realize I'm able to read more if I take pauses in between, like read a bit, put on my Aura ring, read a bit, put on my Apollo Neuro, this sort of band that sends vibrations, read a bit, turn on the vibrations on that Apollo, read a bit, quickly sort of close the bedroom door, read a bit, turn on the alarm. Like breaking it up that way has led to increased productivity and increased quality of work. So I'm gonna keep and continue doing more pausing and starting type actions. Lesson 225. my daily performance is stacking and it's only getting better and better. And the thing that has allowed me to pivot and change things to make it get better and better is that I have a daily routine and checklist, like 300 things that everything from brushing teeth to going toilet to boiling the water to refilling my water bottle to taking a break and doing an exercise to eating lunch to washing. Every little thing is in that checklist. I keep moving things around, tweaking things, changing the numbers on things. Now I know I need 6 scoops of yogurt for my acai bowl. Um, so I keep tweaking it, and every day it just gets better and better and better. And that's thanks to the checklist. Yeah, that's lesson 225. Create a checklist and use that as a baseline or something you can tweak every single day to move forward and improve your days 1% each day. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Like, initially, these were aimed to be 1 hour. Then I moved it down to 45 minutes. And now I'm like, at 30 minutes sounds pretty solid. I think also the fact that I'm knocking out these lessons one after another, it's like very high quality, packed episodes, and I'm not yapping. If I'm yapping, I guess it could be much, much longer. But since these episodes are starting to be very value packed, let's keep it short. I think 30 minutes is a nice time frame. Um, so yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you guys next week. Peace.